Hey guys, this is Dave from Orchids and Fynbos, and today I want to show you some of the amazing orchids I have in bloom currently. The first one that I want to show you is this beautiful orange one that you see in front of you. It's a Rapiculus Laelia type. It's called Laelia Coronet and is a cross between Laelia harpophylla and Laelia cinnabarina. It has striking orange flowers, and I just love the way that the sepals curl downwards towards the ground and the beautiful symmetry of the flowers. This orchid is one of the Carter and Holmes crosses, and I purchased it from Otaniqua Orchids in George. She is a first-time bloomer for us, and I haven't seen her in bloom as of yet. This has been a super easygoing orchid and very easy to care for, watering about once a week, which has made it very happy. Plump pseudobulbs, extremely happy orchid, and I would definitely say an excellent choice for a beginner. Yeah, so this is the Laelia Coronet, which is a cross between Laelia harpophylla and Laelia cinnabarina. Next, I want to show you the beautiful orchid in the back. The blooms aren't completely open just yet. So this is Laelia Cattleya, Memoria Helen Brown, the green apple variety. So this one has an interesting story. I used to have a Memoria Helen Brown about 2 years ago, and then last summer the greenhouse got too hot and I lost about 4 or 5 of my orchids, including the Laelia Cattleya Memoria Helen Brown. The orchid got burnt pretty badly, and 1 or 2 of the pseudobulbs survived, but over the course of the next few months it just slowly started heading downwards, and I wasn't able to save it. Yeah, so it was pretty sad because it was one of my first orchids that I received. I think it was the 3rd one I ever received. Dates all the way back to 2015, and it has a beautiful smell, beautiful flowers, so yeah, it was pretty heartbreaking. But that's the life of the orchid hobbyist. Yeah, but now we've replaced it, and this is the green apple variety. The one that I had was more yellow. This one has green petals and sepals, as you can see. The orchid has a beautiful fragrance. It's kind of a sweet, spicy lemon fragrance. The other one I had a slightly different kind of fragrance. I think it was more florally. I also love the coloring of the lip and how stark the contrast is with the rest of the flower. And the next orchid that we have in bloom is the Oncidium Pacific Lust Lady Chatterley. This one has an amazing sweet fragrance which smells like rose and frangipane. It's a very powdery fragrance, and I generally don't like sweet smells, but this one is very, very beautiful. What attracted me to this flower was the coloring. You often don't see many Oncidiums with this mauve type of coloring, and I'm not talking about the Miltonias and the Miltoniopsis. I'm talking about the general Oncidium type orchids. I saw this one about a few years back at one of the orchid shows, and I just had to get it. As I said, usually I'm of the impression that Oncidiums look pretty much the same, but this one just stood out to me and was pretty striking, so I had to get it. It's a bit of an interesting story. I wanted to take footage of this orchid sooner, but I waited for the other orchids to be in bloom. It had about, I think it was 7 spikes at the time, and then it got attacked by aphids along with my Tsiku Marguerite. So yeah, I don't have the best bloom images of this one at the moment, but I'll see if I can insert an image from last year, and then also of the Tsiku Marguerite, which was in flower. I also just love the ridging that this orchid has on its lip. It's pretty unique in my book, but I'm not sure if some of the other Oncidiums also have it, but maybe it's just the coloring that makes it stand out. So again, this orchid is the Oncidium Pacific Lust Lady Chatterley. And last but not least is the beautiful red orchid in the back that I'm sure everyone knows. So let's bring this one forward and take a closer look. Okay, so this is the Oncostele Wildcat Oncidium type orchid. I think it's the Bobcat variety. And as you can see, very beautiful red flowers. So this one struggled with us for a number of years. I don't think we were giving this one enough water, but within the last year or so we've changed our potting mix, and now this one seems to be thriving. The new potting mix seems to work very well for these Oncidium types. This one we also got from Otaniqua Orchids. It was one of the orchids on special. I think it was a back bulb division. We've had this one for just over 3 years, and as I've said earlier, it's always seemed to struggle with dehydration, with floppy leaves, or the bulbs shriveling. So the potting mix we've changed this year, and it seems to be doing much better. This year it's given us a very big spike with a number of flowers on, and it only has 3 pseudobulbs. Two in front and 1 shriveling one in the back, and the front one is very, very plump and happy. So the potting mix that we are now using is a mix between the Coco Coir chunks, sphagnum moss and perlite. I think I put about 50% Coco Coir chunks to 25% perlite and 25% sphagnum moss, and then I adjust the ratios depending if I want a mix that is for a more water loving orchid versus an orchid that likes to stay drier for longer. With some of the orchids I will remove the sphagnum moss completely, mainly the Cattleya types which don't like to be too wet. But yeah, that mix seems to work very nicely for both summer and winter for us. We water about once a week now on average, maybe in summer a little bit more than once a week, and then in winter a little bit less than once a week. But this mix has seemed to work better for us than plain bark, which dries up too fast, or sphagnum moss mixed with bark, which seems to stay too wet in winter. So the Coir chunks for us has worked the best overall. Yeah, so that's it for this week. Make sure to watch out for the next few videos to come. In the next 2 weeks we'll be popping off to Amanus again to get some footage of the Bonite speciosa. It's a beautiful South African orchid. We checked, I think it was last week, and they are almost in bloom. They're about 2 weeks away. So yeah, we'll definitely get images of that. We will also be off to the Duckett Orchid Nursery in Darling because they have their open day over that weekend, and we will take a look at what we see in the greenhouses there at this time. So yes, that's the Darling Wildflower Show and the Duckett Orchid Nursery Tour and open day. So a number of cool videos in store for the next month or so. So stay tuned and don't miss out, and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already, and hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Keep well and stay safe. Bye guys!